Welcome to Foundation Friday. The dedication and covenant of silent unity was signed on December 7th, 1892 by Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, founders of the Unity movement. It is unlikely when they signed this covenant that they had any idea how far-reaching unity would be as it evolved into the church we know and love today. We invite you to join us as we explore and share some of the original ideas, teachings, and writings of the men and women who created the foundation of the Unity Church.
Hi there. Thank you for joining us today for our Foundation Friday program. Today we're looking at an article called Impersonal Healing. Now, honestly, I'm not sure when this was written. It was written by Annie Ricks Miltz, Militz. I hope I pronounced that right. Now, she was born in 1856 and she passed on, made her transition in 1924. She was another of the students of Emma Curtis Hopkins, who was considered the teacher of teachers. You may know that Charles and Myrtle Fillmore were both also students of Emma Curtis Hopkins, along with several of our foundation Unity ministers and teachers. So I hope you enjoyed this article. I found it wonderful whenever it was written, definitely before 1924. And I found this article at truthunity.net, which is a wonderful resource. If you're not familiar with it, you can go there and look this up. It's called Impersonal Healing. Here we go. Truth is, with capital T, is the foundation of the health that is permanent, and true healing is based upon principles that do not change. The truth, capital T again, that is eternal. Many methods have been and still are used in solving the problems of disease. And they all have their adherents, but what method results in lasting health? If you were to ask doctors who use material methods such as medicine, serums, massage, magnetism, operations, etc., whether their methods will finally give a person such health that he will never be sick again and will never die, your query might be looked upon as absurd, if not actually idiotic. Yet every true art or service strives towards perfection, and the true practice of healing should bring its subject nearer to perfect health with every treatment that is given, and finally confer upon the benefited one the knowledge and skill of self-healing, with the final triumph of divine art, the perfection of health, health in perpetuity. But the more the material doctors doctor a person, the more unhealthy he is held to be. He is always doctoring, is synonymous with the assertion that he is very unhealthy. Whereas if a violinist is described as always practicing upon his violin, there is an expectation of great results that tend to perfection. A Paderewski, I'm not sure what that is, practicing 18 hours a day signifies an artist that is mounting the heights of a great musical career. Many a physician is leaving the ways of the old treatments of disease because of the hopelessness that comes over him as to any final victory over disease. The more people he heals, the more there are to be healed. His successes cannot be repeated with unvarying character, and many of his greatest miracles he cannot honestly acclaim as the result of his knowledge and his skill. He must give credit where he believes it to be clue. To the faithful nurse for some old wives' remedy, or in simple faith, to God alone, with whom nothing is impossible. But the healing that comes through the chief method which Jesus Christ gave, the word of truth, does not bring a sense of hopeless ignorance and blind working. On the contrary, it opens the healer to more and more light upon every case. And with each treatment of recurring cases, the patient advances towards immunity until at last the truth has been appropriated consciously that exempts the patient forever from that certain disease. While it is always truth that heals, the methods of applying the truth are greatly varied with the spiritual healer. Jesus was filled with the consciousness of the omnipotence and the omnipresence of health and life and of strength. He was the very embodiment of the truth that heals. And while radiating his health, he reached different people by such a variety of ways that it is very evident that he had a super knowledge of human nature and a vision of God's working with each man, woman, and child that was perfect. He said that all he did was a following of what he saw God doing. The Son can do nothing of himself, but what he seeth the Father do. I do nothing of myself, but as my Father hath taught me, I speak these things. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. How did Jesus acquire this knowledge of the way to deal with every human being so as to be such a great success? He tells us in giving us directions how to do the same works that he was doing. He turns everything upon believing. Only believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. He that believeth on me, the works that I do, so shall he do. This is the work of God, that ye believe on him whom he hath sent. So, Jesus' success arose from his believing power, and ours is the measure of our believing. According to thy faith, be it unto thee. Of course, that believing must be in health, not in disease, in life, not in death, in seeing, not in blindness, in walking, not in lameness, in virtue, not vice, in spirit, not matter, in good, not evil, in God, not a devil, in the divine self, not the mortal self. And to advance in healing power, we must train our believing. Sometimes Jesus was all night in prayer upon the mountains to charge himself with this believing. And he who tells us to pray always himself walked communing with God night and day. Some of us have fallen into irregular ways of thinking concerning disease by meditating on its unreality only occasionally, and when called upon to give treatment to a patient. The times between may be given over to all kinds of idle thoughts and imagination about cases and experiences which we remember, or we heard about or read about. And unless we can go by ourselves or sit down in the silence, we think we are not helping our patients. Yet we, who are as faithful as we know how to be, know that many a time people are healed at the very moment we consented to give them treatment. Some have needed only to write us a letter, and before it was even mailed, they were healed. Some have needed only to think toward us, and the healing began. And in some cases, it could not be conscious faith for the patients, for unknown to them, the appeal has been made by someone else. And what was the cause of this healing wherein you seemed to do so little consciously? It was because of the true thoughts and loving faith which imbued your being, proceeding from the truth you have incorporated in moments when there has been no demand upon you, but you walked with God and were as the Lord in the midst of them who healed them. Jesus did not give long treatments. He consented with, I will, and it was done. He gave a direction, demanded faith or obedience. He touched one, and he followed some strange and unprecedented ways in healing some conditions as when he healed a deaf and dumb man once, and at another time a man who had been born blind. But whatever he did must have symbolized what he saw his heavenly Father doing. All his cases were healed at the very first meeting, not all instantaneously, such as the man who was partly healed of blindness, seeing men as trees walking, and requiring another application of the Master's touch. Also, the epileptic who fell down like one dead after the first word was spoken, but revived as Jesus took him by the hand. And how is Jesus prepared to do such quick work? By hours and hours of impersonal healing, of meeting the suggestions coming to him with silent prayer and meditation. Then, when a person came running to him for help, he needed only to voice something from his meditation. For the man to be flooded with his, Jesus's, consciousness, one with that of God within himself. Charging himself with the God thinking and feeling, it needed only that he be touched by the hem of the garment to radiate the healing power that stopped a chronic hemorrhage. And this will be our final method of healing by using truth in silent word or audible, regardless of whether any appeal, personal, is being made upon us or not. When we shall hear of some condition that seems to us a very difficult thing to meet, instead of dismissing the thought, perhaps with the secret relief that it is not a case for us to treat, we shall begin to work with our own mind about it until there is a change of view. Perhaps it is some growth that is abnormal and it seems very fixed. Instead of thinking about the person, we will begin to attend to our own belief. And moment by moment, we will dwell upon spirit as the only substance of how collapsible this nothing, called a growth, is. With nothing to hold it up, and we practice until we can see the eyes of Christ only, the manifestation of God only, grace and beauty, health and freedom, and our minds are relieved of the spell of that particular appearance. Day by day, opportunities come to us to erase our old habits of unbelief or our false belief about the fixity of the matter. And one day a specific case is presented to us, and it is so nothing that while the patient sits in our presence, the tumor melts, the cataracts clear, the eczema fades away, just as the leprosy yielded before the Master's word, "Be thou clean." Our great goal as healers is the perfection of our Master, the great Jesus Christ, the unfailing physician. And so surely as we are faithful, we will know no case as incurable, but will pray always and never faint. All the wisdom, inspiration, love, faith, and power of the greatest healer that ever walked the earth shall be ours. Let us give ourselves to this impersonal healing day after day. You who have no patience, get ready for the multitude that will flock to your doors by reasoning daily about some race belief in cancer, consumption, insanity, vice, or some other false condition, meditating upon truth, thus to change your own mind with the very opposite thoughts of the one presence and power. You need deal only with your own unbelief and fill yourself with believing, believing, believing in the omnipresent good, the one pure, perfect substance, the divine self, all in all, that ever was, is now, and ever shall be, the world without end. Amen. Okay, so the language that they used in the early 1900s or the late 1800s is a little different than the language that we use today, obviously. And the conditions she talked about, some we understand differently than what she would have when she wrote this. What I get from this article is to believe that God is more powerful than any other condition, no matter what it is. To know that good and love and health are our divine nature, whoever we are, wherever we are. Not to let our fear or our own biases or prejudices to interfere with the knowing that we are children of God and all things are possible. I hope you enjoyed this writing. I hope you enjoyed the concept of impersonal healing. And what I got from that is it doesn't matter who needs healing, as long as there's a need, that need will be answered. Okay, before we go, please know you matter. You are sacred, and you are so, so very loved. Namaste.
Thank you for joining us, and let's stay connected and grow in spirit. We are on Facebook. Search for Unity Church of El Cajon and follow us and like our posts. You can reach us on YouTube at Unity Church of El Cajon. Please subscribe to our channel, watch our videos, and leave comments, which can help us improve. We are on the web at unityofelcajon.org. Email or call our church office to receive our weekly newsletters, which lists all of our activities and opportunities to learn and grow together.